Hello there, a very warm afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us on this edition of the program Road to 2023. I am Imonia Marire. It's exactly 68 days to the 2023 general elections in Nigeria. In the build-up to the exercise, there are great concerns over persistent violent attacks on the facilities and even personnel of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. We will talk a lot more about this, but to begin with, let's bring you some breaking news. And it is that a federal high court sitting here in the nation's capital, Abuja, has convicted the Director General of the Peter Obi Presidential Campaign Council, Dr. Doyin Okupe, for breaching the Money Laundering Act. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, had arraigned Okupe in 2019 on a 59-count charge bordering on alleged money laundering and diversion of funds to the tune of over 702 million naira. He was arraigned before Justice Ijoma Ojukwu, the presiding judge, alongside two companies, Value Trust Investments Limited and Abraham's Telecoms Limited. Okupe was said to have received cash from the office of the National Security Advisor, the then National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, while he was in office. Delivery judgment on Monday, Ojukwu found Okupe guilty of contravening sections 16.1 and 16.2 of the Money Laundering Act by accepting cash payments in excess of the threshold allowed under the Act, without going through a financial institution. The matter was subsequently stood down until 1:45 p.m. That should have happened by now, to allow the convicts, as Dr. Doyin Okupe, to call witnesses to testify about his character as enshrined under Section 310 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA. The sentencing is expected to take place anytime from now, if it had not already been done. We will bring you updates on that when we do have them in the course of this program. Well, back to our subject for today. At least 8 INEC offices have come under heavy attacks in the last 5 months, raising fears about the possibility of conducting violence-free elections in most of the affected areas and states. The latest was last week's attack on the Imo State headquarters of INEC in Owerri, the state capital, that left parts of the building burnt and badly damaged. Weeks before then, INEC offices in Oru and Olu local government areas of the same Imo State and others in Ebonyi and Ogun states had come under similar attacks. The statistics obtained from INEC website as at the 12th of December 2022 provides a breakdown of the number of violent attacks on INEC facilities since 2019. The figures show that at least 8 incidents occurred in 4 states in 2019 and 12 separate incidents in at least 7 states in 2021. Apart from the fear of insecurity created in the minds of many prospective voters, the attacks may have clearly created additional burden on INEC to make fresh provisions for materials destroyed, including permanent voters' cards, with barely 2 months to the general elections. Now, today on the program, we shall beam our searchlight on the mindless attacks on INEC facilities and the dangers this portends ahead of the elections next year. We shall also take another look at the rising clamor for greater inclusion for women in the Nigerian political space, and why it has become difficult for more women to occupy elective leadership positions in the country. But for now, let's go into that. Before we go into our discussion proper, let's quickly give you some information about some of the latest political developments around the country, as most of which happened over the weekend. And that's be on our political tidbits.
We begin from Imo State, southeast of Nigeria, where the main opposition People's Democratic Party continued with its presidential campaign with a promise to revive the economy of the region if voted back to power in 2023 and create an enabling environment for the youth to attain their full potential. PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, who made the promise, also reaffirmed his commitment to restructure Nigeria and make it work for all citizens.
There will be absolutely no need for any young man or woman not to have something to do. We will provide jobs. If you don't want jobs, we will provide business for you. We will provide an environment where business will thrive. I know the entire Southeast is yearning for restructuring of the country, and it is one of the 5 items of my agenda.
In Rivers State, South Nigeria, the state governor, Nyesom Wike, has denied any involvement in the alleged attack on a member of the People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council, Senator Lee Meiba, describing attempts to link him to the attack as politics taken too far. Wike washed off his hands from the attack in Okrika local government area, where he had gone to commission a few more projects.
But he saw the Commissioner of Police report. Commissioner of Police said, listen, your house is surrounded by all houses. You have 2 gates to your house. None of the gates was destroyed, not one. 2, in your house, no window was damaged, not one. The cars, he said, that were damaged. Cars, rickety cars, but new brand cars were not touched. Advise our people not to play the kind of politics they are playing. Let's play decent politics. Anybody who knows me knows too well. My own, if I want to fight you, I don't need to send anybody. My own, I will go to court. If you say I took it to court, I agree. But to go and concoct lies because you want to be a minister when somebody wins, if the person does not win, which the person will not win, what happens?
In Cross River State, the police has vowed to provide maximum security for all residents and ensure hitch-free elections in 2023. The police command, however, called on citizens to conduct themselves properly and abide by the rules and guidelines of the elections.
To be at peace, it doesn't take much. Be at your own space. Try to obey law and order of the states and of the country at large. Now that the 2023 election is forthcoming, what we need more is peace generally.
The essence of it is to unite everybody. You know, difference of your religious belief and your political affiliation.
Meanwhile, in Kaduna State, northwest of Nigeria, the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, has renewed government commitment to improve the country's national security. The minister gave the assurance at the combined passing out parade and commissioning of Direct Short Service Corps 26 Army and Direct Regular Corps 30 Air Force in Kaduna. He said Nigeria is not the only country experiencing security challenges, but assured that the armed forces are well positioned to surmount any threats.
All right, political tidbits will bring you a lot more of that in the course of the program. Of course, it was a long weekend and there were a lot of political activities. But for now, let's focus on the 2 issues that we are concerned with this afternoon. Now, worried about the spate of attacks on his facilities in parts of the country, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Yakubu Mahmood, and the National Commissioner in charge of Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, appeared before the House of Representatives last week, calling on the federal government to, without further delay, declare its facilities a high-risk zone to enable it to provide maximum and special protection for INEC facilities and personnel. Well, I'm joined in the studio right now by the INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, Comrade Festus Okoye. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Right. He will be throwing a lot more light on that call and why he thinks that the INEC facilities are the target of so much attack. But before we go into our discussion, let's quickly show you what the national chairman of INEC said when he appeared before the House of Representatives ad hoc committee investigating attacks on INEC facilities.
To look for alternatives to damaged facilities. But secondly, several materials lost will have to be replaced. In the recent attack, some of the PVCs, for instance, were lost. But for the PVCs, we have instructed our state offices to send out the voter identification numbers of the PVCs lost so that we can reprint. We can, from our database, quickly regenerate and reprint the cards so that citizens are not disenfranchised. The Commission and security agencies must also continue to provide safety around the facilities. And this, as I said earlier, may be very challenging because the security agencies are also protecting all of us and other national assets. So these attacks on our facilities are actually other challenges that the security agencies can do without. Now we have to rebuild the facilities destroyed, and our funds are overstretched by a number of factors. We can't continue to replace and rebuild. And what is even most disheartening for us was the attack in Izi local government area of Ebonyi State. The building was first attacked on 18th May 2021. We found the resources in our election project plan budget to rebuild the office, and we did so. We rebuilt the office and our staff moved in on Friday. That weekend, on Sunday, the office was burnt down again. And there are 5 such offices nationwide where, in spite of our best efforts, the facilities were attacked not only once but twice. They are Aba South in Abia State. The building was attacked initially on 20th October and then later on 13th December 2020. I mentioned Ebonyi. In Enugu, in Udenu local government, the building was attacked in 2021 and 2022. And in Imo, Olu was attacked in March 2020 and then attacked in December 2022. And then in Osun, Ede South, the attack that happened on the 10th of November in Osun State was the second attack on the Ede South office of the Commission. So we have 5 offices in which even after rebuilding, or trying to rebuild, the offices were attacked again. We are determined, I want to assure honorable members and Nigerians, that we'll continue with our preparations for the 2023 general elections. So far, all the facilities will be rebuilt or alternatives found, and the materials will be replaced.
INEC chairman here, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, giving a state of the facilities report to the members of Nigeria's House of Representatives. Now we're going to find a very skillful way of navigating through this today, because we also have in the House 2 very active women in politics, and we're going also to be focusing on their participation, and I'm going to seek the indulgence of Chief Festus Okoye to let us have some moments with the women, because despite having a greater percentage of registered voters in Nigeria today and for the next elections, Nigerian women still occupy an unenviable backseat in the share and distribution of political offices in Nigeria. This trend has persisted despite deliberate attempts at some kind of affirmative action aimed at increasing their participation in politics and their share in the political space. Now, to throw more light on this, we have with us in the studio right now 2 active women in politics. Engineer Roselyn Ada Chenge is the governorship candidate of the ADC in Benue State. And, of course, she's joined by Dr. Ngozika Gladys Johnson Ugbuneke, who is the SDP Abia State governorship candidate. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You are currently in Abuja because the UN and some other organizations have brought all of you here together for some kind of workshop, ahead of the 2023 elections. Now, how difficult was it for each of you to secure the candidacy of each of your political parties?
Okay. Point of correction first. Is a gubernatorial candidate for ADP, Action Democratic.
ADP, not
Yes,
ADC.
yes, yes.
All right, ADP.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
For Benue State.
For Benue State.
Right. Mm.
Happy to be here with you, and I'm happy that AIT doing a great work by bringing us here to discuss on this. It has not been an easy journey, quite disheartening, especially even when the High Court passed the affirmative action 35%. The federal government had to appeal again. It also affected us even at the primary. I ran to be governor of Benue State under PDP on 2 occasions, 2007 and 2015. To pick the ticket for ADP as a female gubernatorial candidate wasn't an easy one as well. So, but then, good enough, we're here, and I am the candidate, and I believe that with the sensitization going on, UN Women, yourself, Women Radio, we are going to go somewhere. But as just like you have rightly said, the population of women, the level at our participation, especially in elective position, is quite disheartening. Because from 1960 to date, there have been no return elected female governor. Yes, there was a time Anambra had a deputy governor that took over. It didn't last as well. So it's quite it's appalling that a nation that wants to move forward will keep more than 50% of its own citizens from participating in taking decision for the governorship. So for the whole governance of Nigeria. So well, I'll put it that quite discouraging. But then there is nothing. I'm an engineer. It wasn't easy to become an engineer, a mechanical engineer. I know my colleague here too is a professional medical doctor. So we've excelled in our private endeavors, and we believe that given the chance and with what INEC have put in place for the transparency in 2023, God willing, we're going to come out strong.
Dr. Ngozika, I mean, for you as a medical doctor venturing into partisan politics, what has it been like? Is this your first attempt at governorship in your state?
Yes, I call myself a political youth because I've not run for any political office. I'm actually Apostle Dr. Ngozika Gladys Johnson Obuneke. I'm from Isukwata local government area in Abia State. I'm a product of the College of Medicine, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I'm a surgeon, and I happen to have been practicing in the UK, and I'm orthopedic and trauma surgeon. I did my trauma fellowship in the US, University of Louisville Hospital. I'm an ardent researcher. Then somehow along the line, even in UK, you find out that a lot of blacks and Nigerians run into trouble, and they need support. So in the course of my being like an advocacy to support them in the system, I decided to read law. So I'm a human rights lawyer as well. And I was encouraged when the Nigerian youths back in October of 2020 engaged in NSAS movement. So that caught my attention, and I'm like, okay, they're asking the right questions. They need some support. And I started doing teaching through Zoom meeting. And coming to fully declare for governorship in Abia State wasn't really easy. I have 4 grown-up children, some already medical doctors in the UK, and I have to leave them to come up here since February or January this year. And of course, in Abia State, you remember Igbos are kind of very, very, paternal. So in some quarters, they didn't even accept that a female should be the, party bearer or the ticket holder for governorship. And they're like, oh, we are not going to allow her to be that. But somehow, I navigated my way. The Social Democratic Party is an old hand, and they also have a broad picture of what governance is. And they gave me a fair chance. I emerged as the candidate after the primaries. And after that, I actually had 1 or 2 males coming to tell me that I shouldn't really be the governorship candidate for SDP. People are not in SDP themselves. And they wanted to transport somebody else to come and take over the ticket. And I said no, that INEC has made a provision to recognize the need for gender equality. And that if more than 50% of Nigerian population is made up of females, that it is time that a woman comes up. Moreover, Abia State is 31 years old, and it's been governed by males. And to me, Abia State is like a glorified village. And I say to them that the time has come for a woman, a capable woman, to use my sense and my professional skills as an orthopedic surgeon to come and fix all the traumas that have come back in Abia State. It's not been easy, but God's willing, we're still pushing through.
I'm just wondering, and I'm sure a lot of people watching and listening to you now will ask, you are very comfortable in the UK.
Yes.
If you decide you could relocate back to the US and spend all your time in comfort, what is it that is propelling you, that has made you to think of coming back to come and serve your people? And that question applies to you, Madam Engineer. You are comfortable in your zone. Why are you seeking political office?
You see, in England, people think that when they go to any embassy and get a visa, that is the beginning of good life for them. And in England, I call myself a community worker because I'm a Bible teacher and I always like having people, giving them a chance. We in Coventry, in England, where I live, I belong to a number of Nigerian associations. We have Nigerian Association Group. We have the Igbo communities in Coventry. We have the Ohanese in UK and Ireland. And you get a lot of our people in trouble with the law. You get a lot of our people in trouble being in prison. And their families here in Nigeria are there waiting for them to do well and come back. And the way they mess up immigration rules in England, they are now transporting people to Rwanda. And I'm a proud Nigerian. I'm a proud Igbo woman. And I was like, I've spent a number of years working in England, doing a lot of research. I've done enough. Now it's time for me to go and fix a few things in my fatherland so that the youths in Nigeria, the women in Nigeria, the people in Nigeria will also have a chance of good governance, of good life, and enjoy themselves in Nigeria. If they want to visit UK or US, let it be visiting. But not people thinking that good life must be only when you locate to somewhere else. It doesn't always work out.
There's a slang now, jackpa in Nigeria. You jackpa to anywhere and you feel that all is well.
No.
Engineer.
Thank you very much. The state of Benue is quite appalling. A lot of people have tried, the male counterpart, those who have been governors over the years from 1976, have done quite well. But then the security of lives and properties is quite challenging. As a mother hen, as a mother, I would not want to sit back and watch the same set of people do the same mistake again. They're doing quite well, but then as an engineer and as a mother, I feel so ready with the modern technology available globally that I'll be able to tackle the security situation, that the place will be habitable and safe for both its citizens and any other person who legitimately come to occupy our place. So security was my first challenge, because as a woman, you will not want to see the blood that keeps shedding when they show the dead bodies of the Benue people on the streets. These are human beings that we carried on our stomach. You don't want your fathers to die, you don't want your sons to die. And this is what is happening in Benue. In Benue now, it's only a mother that can fix it, and I tell you that I am the right person, because as a female engineer, I practiced for over two decades, almost 3 decades. I'm a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. That's a peak of engineering. I've been the general manager of the Benue State Water Board. When I was there, water was everywhere. That was 2007 to 2011. Then I became the managing director of the River Basin. You know, so what I am standing for, the security of the lives and property. And then secondly, you see a lot of wasted food in Benue. We are the food basket, but yet it has not been processed. So the farmers remain poor. So I'm so overwhelmed seeing our product wasting. And I feel that I have, as an engineer, have the answer to the processing. And this with the security industrialization of Benue and then enhanced education, I feel that Benue is going to not just feed Nigeria, but feed the whole of Africa. And it will reduce a lot of our problems. Because if you do industrialization, from my manifesto, in the first 3 months, cottage industry, pay local government. We'll pull all the youth back to the local government and we'll have a safer place. So I am so ready and prepared for over how many decades of practicing engineering. It's time to do it in the field.
Thank you so much. I really would have loved to continue this interview, but you know, you have to get back to your program, which is supported by the United Nations and Women Radio.
Yes.
That's a very good one, because this is the first time that, or maybe not exactly the first time, but this time around, women politicians are getting a lot of support from UN Women and from other organizations.
Exactly.
So I'll let you go, and then we'll have some other session to talk more about your aspirations.
Fortunately, we are here with the INEC person, and by the grace of God, we want to appreciate INEC for making sure that things are put in place. So let the security be there for us so that we win big for everyone.
One thing I want to thank the INEC for is for making the primaries to finish on time. And for the first time in Nigeria, we have about 6 months to talk. And for the so-called bigger parties to know that they are on equal platform with the rest of us. So that has given us a good time to really talk to people and engage with our people as well.
Thank you so much. My guest, Engineer Roselyn Adachenge, is the governorship candidate of the ADP in Benue State, and Dr. Ngozika Gladys Johnson Ogbuneke, Apostle, let me emphasize that, Apostle Dr. Gladys Johnson Ogbuneke, who is the SDP governorship candidate in Abia State. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go on a short break. We'll be back.
Still in Kaduna State comes this report that the state chairman of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Ben Kure, has resigned his position in the party. Kure announced his resignation at a news conference in Kaduna, saying he regretted his time with the NNPP. He said despite being elected, he was never allowed a free hand to carry out his duties as the party's chairman. On what would be his next step, Kure said he would take a rest for now from active politics to reflect on his political future before taking any action.
They have continued to insult my person in the social media, but I refused, based on maturity, to engage them in mudslinging. However, it has gotten to a point where I can no longer tolerate this sort of thing. Let me make it clear that I don't believe in the candidacy of Hunkuyi for so many reasons. He is just there to block chances, not really to contest. I, Ben Kure, I am a serious politician and will not align myself with unserious people. Having done the best I could, it's time to move on with my life. My experience with NNPP in Kaduna is regrettable. I do not ever hope to have anything to do with majority of the state ESCO members. I therefore wish to inform you and all my supporters and associates that I have resigned as the Kaduna State Chairman of NNPP and I am no longer a member of the party.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Is the road to 2023, and we have still very much in the studio Comrade Festus Okoye, who is the INEC National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been very difficult tracking you down because of the very many activities you are involved in, traveling all around the place. But I'm sure that just like the chairman, we are very worried about the spate of attacks on the facilities of the commission. Has the commission been able to decipher why this is happening?
Well, we've not been able to decipher why this is happening. But the attacks, especially the ones we've had in 2022, appears to be coordinated and also appears to be systematic. This is because if you look at the trajectory of the attacks, you can see that on the 10th day of November, our office in Abeokuta South Local Government of Ogun State was attacked. The same day, our office in Ede South Local Government of Osun State was attacked. And then if you also look at the attacks in Imo, you can see that The attack in our Olu local government office took place on the 2nd of December 2022. And then on the same day, our office in Oru West local government was also attacked. So you can see that it appears coordinated, it appears systematic. And the intention can only be to either derail preparations the Commission is making or to present us with a fait accompli in terms of our inability to proceed with electoral business within the time stipulated by the Constitution and the law.
Like the chairman stated before the House Committee, a number of your facilities and materials have been destroyed in the process of these attacks. And given the time left between now and the elections, what is the possibility of getting all these things replaced? PVCs, possibly ballot boxes, and a number of other hardware. How is it possible to get all these things in place?
Well, for the attacks that have already taken place, the chairman has made it clear that the Commission is able to recover. We're able to recover in the sense that, for instance, in the Abeokuta South local government office, we have moved to a new location, and we are starting and continue with electoral business in that location. And the VIN number of the permanent voters' cards that have been destroyed have been harvested, and we are going to reprint them. Now, a lot of ballot papers, ballot boxes, voting cubicles, generators, and so on, were destroyed in these places. We are able to recover because when we are procuring, we do a little bit of a markup in case of any emergency. So we are able to recover in relation to this. In some places where the offices were completely destroyed, we are moving to a new location. In places where the office was not completely destroyed, we're able to rebuild them within this particular period. But that is as far as we can go in relation to these offices within this particular period. So for the attacks that have taken place, we're able to recover. But if these attacks continue, what that means is that we will be presented with a fait accompli. It will be difficult to order for ballot boxes, voting cubicles, generators, and so on and so forth. Some of the materials that have been destroyed are not things you can pick off the shelf because some of them have to be manufactured, some of them have to be imported, and so on. So that's why the chairman has urged the National Assembly to classify INEC premises and INEC facilities as high security priority so that the security agencies will be in a position to provide adequate security for all our offices. And incidentally, we have offices in the 774 local government areas of Nigeria, and we also have offices in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. So it is important, it's imperative, and it's fundamental that we have these offices protected, because unless these offices are protected, unless our staff are assured of their safety and their security, they may be living in fear. And apparently, some of those who are attacking our offices believe that these are national assets and that these are national monuments that have to be destroyed. And our staff who are supposed to conduct these elections, they want to instill fear and a sense of anxiety in their minds so that they cannot give in their best in relation to this election. But I think that it is just misplaced aggression and then also misplaced priority, because this particular commission is determined to give Nigerians a good election.
Yeah, that is the concern of most Nigerians. The fact that INEC has now said, look, declare these places as high-risk areas and provide strategic security for these facilities. That will mean 24 hours around the clock.
Yes.
Now, even if you move to another facility from the destroyed ones, there's a likelihood that these characters who are engaged in this may also come in there or attack such facilities and possibly overwhelm the security and carry out these attacks. Now, some groups, particularly in the Southeast, have said, look, we are determined to make sure there are no elections. So how does INEC deal with a situation like that? When you have an imminent and present danger, as it were?
This commission is determined to conduct free, fair, transparent, and inclusive election in 2023. The commission is also not resting on its house. While the security agencies are providing security, why the security agencies are strategizing on how to provide security for INEC facilities. The Commission is also doing its best to make sure that we protect the facilities of the Commission. One, we are engaged in what we call strategic deployment and also strategic storage of sensitive election materials. We are also dispersing our risk in terms of not putting all our eggs in one basket. So in some of the states, in some of the places, we have not deployed any materials to those places. We are keeping the materials in safe custody, in safe places, pending the time we are confident enough to deploy them. Secondly, we have developed what we call the INEC SANS, which is a security alert system that enables our staff to send quick notification to INEC headquarters in case there's any form of imminent danger or any problem. We have also developed basic security tools for our staff and also for the security agencies, which they can utilize in case there's any emergency or any challenge. And so in terms of our own, we are also trying to protect our facilities. But we are collaborating with the various security agencies, and they have assured the Commission that they have the capacity to protect our offices. And so we have advised that they must upscale intelligence gathering, they must upscale intelligence sharing, and also find ways and means of making sure that our offices are no longer attacked, because continuing attacks in our offices means slowing the Commission down in terms of our preparations. We want, the chairman has made it clear that under his watch, no election will be postponed on account of logistics and logistic challenges. And that is why by tomorrow, the Commission will sign an MOU with the National Union of Road Transport Workers and the National Association of Road Transport Owners, as well as the marine unions, to make sure that we get our logistics framework in place. And not only that, for the drivers, we're also going to issue them with contract documents. So we are going to have an agreement with each driver, and we're also going to get the leadership of the various unions into our situation room, so that if there's any challenge, they can speedily and quickly deal with those challenges. So we are doing a lot to make sure that we move to location and move to location on time. We are doing a lot to make sure that all the sensitive and non-sensitive materials required for the conduct of this election are in place at least by the middle of January. And so we don't want all this distraction, and we don't want any interruption in terms of the things we are doing. And that's why these attacks must stop, and they must stop now.
When the Commission met with political parties and civil society groups some weeks back, you agreed on having to store some of the sensitive materials with the Central Bank of Nigeria. Those sensitive materials included the ballot papers and all of them. But I am aware, personally, that the Commission is planning on finding alternative storage facilities in each state of the Federation where it feels that its own facilities are not secure, to put some of these facilities, particularly the BVAS machines. Yes. Now, given the situation that we already have on our hands now, how can we be so sure of the security of those storage facilities in each of these states? Because I'm aware, for instance, that you have asked the acting director of your storage or stores or whatever in INEC to go to each of these states and find alternative storage facilities. When we know that information can filter out, and some of these storage facilities, which may be private facilities, can easily be compromised and attacked.
When we met with the various security agencies, political parties, civil society groups and organizations, and the media, we agreed on a hybrid approach to the storage of our sensitive materials. For our BVAS, we agreed that it must remain with the Independent National Electoral Commission, while ballot papers and resources will remain with the Central Bank, because we have never had any issue whatsoever with the Central Bank in terms of storage, in terms of the security of these documents. Now, for the beavers and some of the materials, we agree will remain in the custody of the commission. They are in safe locations, and they have adequate security around them. So we have no concerns and no challenges in relation to that. So at the appropriate moment, at the appropriate period, this sensitive equipment will be deployed to location. But for now, they are in safe locations, and we don't have any challenges and fears relating to them. The only challenge is that I think that the security agencies were slightly slow in terms of deploying security to our various local government offices. But the Inspector General of Police has given an indication and also has given an assurance that will be done. We agreed mutually that we are going to have the Nigerian Police Force, which is the lead agency in election security, that we are going to have the DSS, we are going to have the civil defense, and also the fire service protecting our offices and our facilities. They have at least fortified some of our state offices, and I'm aware that they have also started a good deployment to some of the local government offices. Our concern is that these attacks must stop, and they must stop now, to enable us concentrate on the core mandate of planning and planning well for the election. We don't want our planning to be interrupted or disturbed. You can see that on the 26th of February 2022, the Commission released the timetable and schedule of activities for the conduct of this election. And we listed 14 critical items and activities that must be accomplished before the election. And out of the 14, we have already accomplished 9. And so we don't want any interruption whatsoever in relation to what we are doing.
The beavers machine is very critical to the 2023 elections.
Yes.
The fairness and the credibility of the elections, at least INEC has always emphasized, we depend largely on the use of the beavers machines. So why is the Commission not putting those same beavers machines in the custody of CBN, just like the result sheets and the ballot papers, since they are all very sensitive materials?
Well, the beavers is safe. And that was the agreement. This particular commission and our chairman believes in consultation. There were issues and there were challenges around the storage of sensitive materials with the CBN. So we didn't want to take any unilateral decision or any unilateral action. So we convened a meeting of the leadership of all the registered political parties. Unanimously, all of them agreed that the beavers should remain with the commission, while the result sheets and the ballot papers should remain with the central bank. We did the same thing with civil society groups and organizations. We did the same thing with the media. And we also did the same thing with the security agencies. And that was the resolution that was arrived at in these consultative meetings. I want to assure you and also assure Nigerians, and the chairman has also done that the beavers is safe in locations. And at the appropriate time, they will be deployed to the place where they are going to be used. And so we don't entertain any fears whatsoever relating to the safety of the beavers.
Yeah, given the incident that we had with the registration of voters, where a few of your staff were said to have made some compromises here and there, what is the guarantee that if some of these staff are also exposed to the beavers machines before the elections, that the beavers machine may not be tampered with, may not be pre-programmed before the elections?
No, you cannot pre-program the beavers. We have the beavers that we are using for training. In fact, as at now, trainings are ongoing in various locations in various states of the Federation. We are training the trainers who are equally going to train the 8,809 registration area support staff, who are going to also equally train the over 176,846 presiding officers that are going to be charged with the responsibility of conducting elections at the various polling units, and also the assistant presiding officer 1, 2, and 3. And so all these categories of staff have to be trained, and they have to be trained with live beavers. They have to feel it, they have to see it, and they have to also understand how to troubleshoot it and maneuver when there are challenges with the beavers. But the beavers we definitely perform optimally. So the one for the training is completely different from the one we are going to deploy for the election. Now, nobody can pre-program the beavers now. The beavers, the beavers that will be used for the conduct of elections is not in locations where anybody can begin to tamper with it. Now, the issue here is that the only thing that will be in each beavers will be the data of registered voters in each polling unit. So you cannot take the beavers that has been configured for a particular polling unit to a different polling unit. It will definitely not work because the data in that particular beavers is different from the data here. Now, those who are going to be charged with the responsibility of conducting election are not our staff. The bulk of the presiding officers will be corps members who are doing their national youth service. And if we are not able to get the full complement of corps members, then we get students of federal tertiary institutions in their penultimate year. And so you are not likely going to see most of our staff at the polling unit on election day. So the issue of pre-programming the beavers does not even work. Even if you pre-program, what are you going to achieve? You can't achieve anything because on election day, voters will be there. They have to be authenticated using the beavers, using their fingerprint and using their facials. And at the end of the day, the accreditation data has to be uploaded and transmitted to our INEC result viewing portal, as well as the result sheet used for that particular election on election day. So I think that people are just trying to maneuver and see whether there is a possibility that something can be done. But that possibility that something can be done is just wishful thinking, and it will not materialize.
I'm sure that you or the commission must have also heard and read about the reports that politicians are buying up PVCs.
Yes.
Now, of what use are those PVCs on election day to those who are mopping them up?
Well, some of the politicians are very optimistic. Some of them also plan for the rainy day, so to say. And they also plan for what they call the unknown. Now, for me, as somebody who has been out there in the field for a pretty long time, when you buy up a PVC, given the architecture of the polling units and given the trajectory of our electoral process now, the only thing you can engage in is what I call voter suppression. In other words, you buy up PVCs of individuals and you prevent them from going to vote on election day, thereby suppressing the votes. But in terms of buying up the PVCs, trucking them to the polling unit on election day, getting individuals who are not registered voters to use those PVCs, or those who have voted before to vote again, is next to impossibility. It's completely next to impossibility because every registered voter must be accredited using the beavers. It is either you have fingerprint passes or you have facial passes. If both of them do not pass, it means that you are engaged in identity theft and nobody will allow you to vote.
Another issue, there are so many things to talk about, but of course time will not allow. But another one that we need to seek answers to, many Nigerians are curious, was the statement by the commission, by you, a few weeks back to say, look, the ballot papers for a possible rerun, a presidential rerun, are already being printed alongside the first election. And many are wondering, if that happens, it means that all 18 candidates will be on that ballot paper, when in fact, by your own explanation and by the provisions of the Constitution, only 2 front runners from the first run are supposed to be on the ballot paper.
Let me just put it this way. The framers of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria obligates the Commission to prepare for a possible second election when we are preparing for the first election. This is because the presidential election will take place on the 25th day of February 2023, beg your pardon, while governorship and state assembly elections will take place on the 11th of March 2023. So if, for instance, there's no winner on the first ballot on the 25th, we have a period of 21 days to prepare for the second election. While we are preparing for the second election, there's a pending governorship and state assembly election. And printing ballot papers, printing result sheets, engaging in reverse logistics is not a child's play. And so The framers of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, asked us to prepare for a possible second election if there's no winner on the first ballot. And that's exactly what the commission is doing.
That sounds a bit complicated, because it does mean that all 18 candidates will be on the ballot for the presidential runoff, if there is one.
No, what the law says is that if there's no winner, if no candidate scores the highest number of votes cast in the election and secures a quarter of the votes cast in 2/3 of all the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, there will be a second election. And that in that second election, only 2 candidates and 2 political parties will be on the ballot. That's what the law says. Now, for the commission, if there's going to be a second election, we have to begin our preparations when we are preparing for the first election. Since we have to also prepare for the rainy day, that is what the law says we should do. That's what the Constitution says we should do. And that's exactly what we are doing.
Okay, well, let me leave that for now and quickly go to something else. The current distribution and collection of PVCs.
Yes.
We've been monitoring it ourselves, and there have been some hiccups here and there. What exactly is the commission doing about it? Because most of those who are going there to the collection centers are complaining that they cannot locate their PVCs. Only those who did transfer or replacement are actually getting PVCs. Those who registered afresh, the over 9 million or so who registered afresh, are finding some problems in picking up their PVCs.
Before we announced the period and the date for the collection of PVCs, we designed and developed and adopted a standing operating procedure for PVC collection. And this was discussed with all the resident electoral commissioners in Lagos during our retreat. And that is what is being applied. Now, there are categories of PVCs that are available for collection. Those who registered from 2011 up to the 2019 general election, who did not collect their PVCs are available for collection. Those who registered between the 28th day of June 2021 and 14th day of January 2022, their PVCs are in the various local governments for collection. Those who registered between the 15th day of January 2022 and 31st day of July 2022, their PVCs have been taken to location to the various local governments and are available for collection. The same thing applies for those who carried out transfer or whose PVCs were damaged or defaced and so on and so forth. So those PVCs are in location. What we are asking for is that people should show some level of understanding and also exercise patience. Every registered voter cannot collect their PVCs on the day we started this particular exercise. We have spaced out the exercise to begin on the 12th day of December and end on the 22nd day of January 2023. And we have also said that from the 6th day of January to the 15th day of January, we are going to devolve to the 8,809 registration areas to make it easy for people to collect. So we counsel patience, we counsel understanding. All the resident electoral commissioners have been told to send daily reports of PVC collection from the various local governments. And on a daily basis, we receive that report from Lagos, we receive from Edo, and we receive from all other states of the Federation relating to PVC collection. And we are also monitoring it. National commissioners are monitoring PVC collection. All those who validly registered will collect their PVCs. But those who engage in multiple and double registration will not get any PVC, no matter the number of times they go to any of our local government offices. Now, those who carry that transfer, if you live in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and you carry that transfer in the Federal Capital Territory, and you say you want to vote in Kaduna North local government of Kaduna State, we are going to take your PVC to Kaduna North.
And not here in Abuja?
And not here in the Federal Capital Territory.
Okay.
And that's part of the challenge. I think people should bear this in mind.
I think that possibly is lack of adequate information, that this has been spaced out, and people should, because some people have been told, come back in 2 weeks to come and check for your PVC. they don't have that full information that theirs may not be ready immediately.
It's some of the people that engage in double and multiple registration. When you tell them that their cards were not printed, that they should go away, they start to make trouble. So people have to, our staff have to find creative ways of making them to go away and not cause trouble at the various local governments.
Thank you so much. I wish we had a lot more time to talk about more issues, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to drag you back to the studio sometime very soon to answer some of these questions. Thank you so much, Comrade Festus Okoye. Comrade Chief Festus Okoye is the National Commissioner in charge of Information and Voter Education at INEC. Thank you for your time.
I really appreciate this opportunity.
All right. That's our program for today. We want to thank you immensely for investing your time with us. And join us again on Tuesday when we bring you a fresh edition of The Road to 2023. Bye for now.